morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to you on Business Today Television. It's Friday, and thank God for it. We are on the last working day of the week, a week that has been characterized by risk of trade as traders, investors across the world, whether it's on Wall Street, on Dalal Street, in Tokyo, in Singapore, in Europe, they are just sitting and staring at their screens because the risk of trade is in place. Problems between Israel and Iran in the Middle East, rising crude oil prices have pushed all volatility and all ups and downs in the market to the side. Everybody is waiting for a resolution as to when will come, whether the war will escalate just as it is. It's in the 8th day, and in 8 days, all element of risk has been taken out in the market, whether it is gold, whether it is US 10-year yield, whether it is a major index, whether it is metals, whether it is commodities, all of them are now sitting quietly. There are no volumes in the market, ladies and gentlemen, unless there is an evently related trade, which could be a block deal, which could be an event in terms of a demerger or whatever. Nevertheless, our job is to track markets, our job is to keep you informed, and that is what we are doing. We'll start with the chart of the Nifty. The index, whether it's the Nifty or the Bank Nifty, have managed to hold on to the 21 EMA in the market, which means that the 21-day exponential moving average, the average of 21 days of prices, is what is supporting the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. In the last 5 working sessions, the Nifty is down half a percentage point. The Bank Nifty has lost 1.1%. I'll also request the PCR to kindly fire the chart of Fin Nifty, Mid Cap Nifty, and Nifty Next 50. These are mid cap and small cap spaces where a lot of profit booking is taking place. People are afraid and they are sort of booking their profit, moving it into their banks. So the Fin Nifty is down 1.3% in the last 5 trading sessions. Mid cap Nifty has lost 2.4% since last Friday, and of course Nifty Next 50 has lost 2.5% in the last 5 trading sessions. Apart from that, there is absolutely nothing that's happening in gold. Bond yields are quiet. The dollar index is lying flat, except for crude oil, which has burst up above $73 a barrel. There is at a 5-month high. Everything is quiet in the market, ladies and gentlemen. You must be thinking, why am I repeating myself again and again? But there is nothing to tell you. Whatever is happening intraday on very low volumes. That does not allow a trader who chases momentum to come into the market. He is also sitting quietly. So risk on trade is seen on very limited number of stocks like Shipping Corporation of India, where there is a tailwind in the form of the government. So what we'll do is we'll shift focus in the market and get hold of our very dear friend Mayuresh Joshi, Director for Equity Research at William O'Neill India. Good morning to you, Mayuresh, and a very warm welcome. I think we've just enjoyed 5 days of no work while coming to work.
Morning, Shailendra. No, absolutely. I think the war is raging on and the markets are refusing to move. So I think this shows resilience in the markets, and the markets are now looking at some sort of a resolution happening over the next few days. And if that happens, then there is some sort of a if that comes through, the markets might just take this as an excuse to probably break out on the upside. But the resilience has obviously been very, very strong through these first 7 days of intense.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the resilience that Mayuresh is talking about is that the Nifty refuses to give up 24,700 to the bears, and the bears refuse to let the Nifty rise above 25,100 or 200. Traditionally, over the last so many decades, we have seen that the weekend is the busiest when it comes to wars. So let us hope by Monday there is some kind of a solution, a ceasefire, maybe, two sides decide to talk to each other. But at the moment, just as Mayuresh and I are exchanging our thoughts, Israel and Iran are exchanging missiles. And with each passing day, they are using deadlier and deadlier missiles at each other. Let's hope sanity prevails and common sense comes back to the market. Mayuresh, I would be failing in my duty if I don't ask you your view on crude oil prices. Now $73 a barrel. It was at $56 a barrel in early April. How are you penciling in this 40% rise in crude oil prices in your equity calculator?
So, Shailendra, I think two aspects. One, I think from the lower levels, as you mentioned, as crude has moved higher, a $10 increase in crude will mean a 0.3 to 0.4% hit on the GDP. But to a large extent, if you probably look at our budget estimates, the budget estimates have taken largely crude in the range of $82 to $83 a barrel. So to that extent, whatever has been estimated in our budgetary output or outlook has been with an $82 or $83 estimation. Obviously, I think the expectations in terms of how crude prices will move and the news that we are now hearing, Iran is seriously contemplating to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. 1/3 of the global crude comes from there, 2/3 of the global gas comes from there. So it's not just crude. If the Strait of Hormuz is closed for some reason or the other for the next few days, next few weeks, we might see further spike that might probably happen. But again, from a calculation perspective, until crude crosses 83 or 84, it really does not hit our fisc that much. A marginal hit in terms of GDP, as I said, is something that we'll take back in our stride. And again, let's assume that this is not structural, that this is going to be staying in these levels for the next few months. If it does stay here for the next few days or weeks and then recedes, it's just a temporary hit which will be recouped in the next few quarters. So the hope is that it does not cross 83, 84. And the hope is that even if it is at elevated levels right now, speak, it recedes over the next few weeks.
Yes, I think that's a very valid observation that you make. And more importantly, even as the war has escalated with deadlier weapons being used by both sides in the last 3 or 4 sessions, crude refuses to move above 75. It's, maybe let's see what happens over the weekend, what happens over, the next couple of days, and then maybe take a call on Monday. So that takes care of 2 major thought processes in the market, Mayuresh. How are you now looking at the sell-off that's happening in small caps and mid caps? You think that is justified? People who are smarter than all of us put together are keeping the Nifty and Bank Nifty stable and, sort of taking money away dramatically from smalls and mids.
Absolutely. I think the market in its collective wisdom is far smarter than all of us put together. You're absolutely right, Shailendra. And to that extent, I think the kind of moves that we had seen in the broader markets in the last few weeks were obviously stupendous. A large part of the broader market had moved significantly higher. And therefore, I think there is some element of profit booking that is taking place in small caps and mid caps as we speak. And it's very logical and rational. In my opinion, again, I think if this worsens off, as some parts of the street believe, it's always better booking profits. And if there is a sell-off for escalation between Iran and Israel worsening off over the next few days, staying put for the next couple of weeks, where Trump is actually saying, I need a couple of weeks to probably see what happens. So with that rhetoric, I think if there is some element of shakeout that happens in the market, I think it's always better that once you book out, you will be sitting on some element of cash, that if the market does correct and gives you that knee-jerk reaction based on what happens, you get better entry points if these stocks in the broader market do correct.
Okay. Mayuresh, your answer prompts me to my next question. In fact, it leads to it. When you look at better entry points, and I was talking to a very senior investor in the market yesterday, he said exactly the same thing. The market is providing opportunity for people to enter who are sitting on the side market. So if you were to enter into some stocks, what would they be?
So largely, again, I think two or three sectors where the earnings resilience might continue, Shelter. One obviously is BFSI. Again, it's a consensus call, but one needs to be really picky out here now because the sector has done quite a bit when it comes to the price action as we see it. But from an earnings perspective, within banks, our own sense is that some of the larger banks, like an ICICI Bank, which we continue holding in our global portfolios, can actually do well. Some of the mid private sector banks, banks like Karur Vysya, CSB Bank, where numbers can be relatively better for the system as a whole, and for these two banks in particular, might actually fare well. From a PSU bank perspective, banks like Bank of Maharashtra, as an example, great set of numbers in my opinion. Expectations in terms of asset quality recovery, which have been written off, further adds fuel in terms of the earnings profile. The rating rankings for this sector look stupendous. Second, from a consumption standpoint, our own sense is that with the monsoons being relatively better and expected to be, where rural consumption has already started showing a significant amount of uptake. As discretionary spending comes back, that entire consumption basket starts coming back slowly and steadily. So select FMCG stocks as an example, where the expectation of volumes coming back, pricing coming back, and leverage being paid on the balance sheet with better cash flows, where they clearly struggled because of input cost inflation, because of different SKUs and strategies in terms of reduction of grammage as an example, and where pricing was not in their favor, might start coming back in the second half as a huge base case scenario possibility. And therefore stocks like Marico, Radico, Khaitan might actually do well. Some of these consumption which are predominantly rural based in our opinion or semi-urban based, stocks like Vishal Mega Mart, which had a big block deal, I think we remain extremely optimistic. Stocks like V-Mart Retail in that same context, where our sense is that the same sales store growth should bounce back very, very smartly. The price points at which they offer apparel, FMCG, non-FMCG, and with expectations of rural discretionary, semi-urban discretionary coming back, makes us believe and prompts us to assume that SSG growth better, margins better, and therefore earnings better as well. And third, I think healthcare as a space, stroke telecom, should largely remain immune of whatever is happening in the globe as we speak. There is a lot of global uncertainty, whether it's geopolitical or geo-economic, based on what tariffs Trump might do as regards tariffs as well, dragging down global growth. Healthcare, including a few hospital stocks, which I remain bullish upon, or even telecom as a space, is largely unaffected in terms of what's happening in the globe. And therefore, these stocks also will remain very, very resilient, irrespective of what happens, and the earnings will remain very, very strong as we head into the next few quarters.
Okay, the pre-open is with us flat as flat can be. Let's continue this conversation with Mayuresh. Mayuresh, you need to name one hospital stock and one stock in the healthcare space apart from Vishal Mega Mart, Marico, Radico, ICICI Bank, Karur Vysya Bank and Bank of Maharashtra that you've mentioned as those which can be purchased in SIP format in this downturn. One healthcare, one telecom.
Sure. So, Shelter, I think Krishna Institute of Medical Sciences, KIMS, is something that we continue liking. Our own sense is that the numbers have been very strong and resilient. The kind of additions that are expected are expected to be accretive in the sense that it's not going to increase leverage on the balance sheet. At the same time, with expected occupancies going higher and new hospitals reaching maturity over the next few quarters, the average revenue per operating bed is expected to show a decent uptick, a significant uptick over the next 2 or 3 years. And therefore, I think most of the key parameters tend us to believe that return ratios and ROEs in particular that we track at Markets with India should be very, very strong. So this is one stock that, as a clear disclaimer, we continue holding in our local and global portfolios. From telecom as a space, obviously, I think Airtel has done phenomenally well, but Bharti Hexacom is something that we continue liking at Markets with India. I think the numbers have been great as we speak on an annualized basis for FY25. The cash flow from operations have been stellar. The net debt, excluding leases, has actually come off. And therefore, I think if you probably look at the construct in terms of expectations of the tariff repair with ARPU increases that have happened, expectations in terms of broadband subscribers, which are increasing in a substantial manner as we speak, both the homebound as well as office bound as well, will probably lead to better numbers over the next couple of years. And with better cash flows, with expectations of further tariff repair as far as the mobile services are concerned, with ARPU increases coming through, the net debt excluding leases might come off even more as we head into the next couple of years. So Bharti Hexa from the telecom space becomes a good proxy as far as the telecom space is concerned.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, so this is the full list. What we'll do is we'll make a reel of this and put it out. These are Mayuresh's stock picks during this war-led downturn. Let me repeat, he is very bullish on banks, mainly on account of tailwind and the wonderful numbers that they have shown. So one each, a large cap private sector bank, ICICI Bank, Karur Vyasa, which is already at a record high from the mid-cap space, and from the PSU basket, it's Bank of Maharashtra. Apart from that, there is from the FMCG space, mainly on account of good monsoons, Marico, Dabur, and his favorite Radico Khaitan. That's a different story which we will be discussing in a separate discussion. And one healthcare stocks, Krishna Institute of Medical Sciences, and of course in the telecom space, a stock that has made repeated new highs over the last 4 months or so, Bharti Hexacom. 906, Mayuresh, just give me a couple of minutes to wrap the pre-open. So Nifty is in the green, ladies and gentlemen, mildly so. TCS a rupee higher, Bajaj Finserv 1 rupee 20 higher. Like I've been saying, there's just nothing happening in the market. It's just lying on its flat on its back. L&T 9 rupees lower, Bajaj Finance 3 rupees 50 lower, nothing at all. One quick look at NSE 500, we'll get back to Mayuresh. That's a far better discussion. Top gainers from the they are dominated by PSU spaces. This is what we've been telling you in our opening commentary. REC Limited 2% higher, Indian Renewable Energy IREDA 2.4% higher, Power Finance Corporation 2.1% higher. Nothing much at all, ladies and gentlemen. In terms of most active shares, there's Masgaon Dock, Nestle, I think there's a talk of a bonus issue. I'm not sure. Let me just get that confirmed. The price that you see, 2349, 1 rupee 30 higher, is already a 10-for-1 split. So this is it happened about 2-3 years ago, and the stock is at originally 23,490. Mayuresh, coming back to you, shipping stocks, two broad tailwinds: rising Baltic dry freight index because of crisis in the Middle East, as also the government's insistence now on having a go at shipping and construction of ships in a manner where global demand comes to India. With this background in mind, where do you find value in shipbuilders or in shipping lanes? What looks good to William O'Neill?
No, so you're absolutely right. I think the Baltic Dry Index has moved significantly higher, and the spot rates have zoomed. Though they have not zoomed like you saw in the previous crisis when the war broke out. And therefore, I think the expectation largely is that for a lot of carriers, the spot rates will be significantly better as they report numbers heading into the first quarter. Having said that, I think the expectation for shipbuilders is largely getting penciled in, both in terms of the manufacturing of new ships that they're probably doing and ship repairs. Now, interestingly, I think ship repairs has better EBITDA margins compared to ship manufacturing, which is more capital intensive and which takes a longer period of time as far as gestation of revenue recognition is concerned. And therefore, I think all the shipbuilders have probably done well, including the likes of Mazda, Cochin, Garden Reach as an example, and the tailwinds continue. But one really needs to wait for declines because the rise has been meteoric in most of these stocks and valuations are through the roof. Obviously, I think for a few of these stocks, they're also into late stage basis as we see it. From a value perspective, obviously, I think SCI, Shipping Corporation of India, offers tremendous value, not in terms of the business prospect, but also in terms of the the subsidiaries, the land bank, and the other ancillary factors it has. But it's really a very tough call to make because how the government will probably move in terms of monetizing all these aspects and what call do they take? It's a very tough ask. So I think you can ascribe value in terms of the other assets that it has got in terms of balance sheet. But it's a very, very tough call for any government to take to monetize these at any point of time.
Okay, so deep value in shipping corporation, and of course shipbuilding assets are the ones that are already in top form. 9:10 a.m. ladies and gentlemen, the market has settled in pre-open, 11 points lower on the Nifty bank and 5 points lower on the Nifty, 9.25 points higher on the IT index. Mayuresh, I'm going to send you a ticket. Just come to Delhi. We will party all weekend. I can assure you a lot of products from Radico Khaitan are doing phenomenally well. मौसम शानदार है, आप दिल्ली आ जाइए.
पक्का पक्का सर, आप बताइए कब आना है, आ जाऊंगा.
कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा. एक्सटेंडेड वीकेंड है, फ्राइडे से शुरू हो गया. एक्चुअली मंडे से शुरू हो गया था. 5 दिन बाजार में कुछ नहीं हो रहा. नो वॉल्यूम. You know, yesterday's top traded counter was 1600 crores on NSC. अभी क्या करे दिन भर बैठ के? कुछ स्क्रीन पे फायर करते तो वो बिल्कुल फ्लैट आता ही हूँ. जैसे मतलब वो होता है ना, हिंदी पिक्चर में दिखाते हैं पेशेंट लेटा हुआ है, उसकी हार्ट बीट बिल्कुल फ्लैट हो गई है. वही हाल है.
Worst part is if you leave the screen for 2 hours and you come back, it is the same level.
प्राइस ही नहीं बदल रहा.
बदल ही दे रहा.
Anyway, what can we do? You know, इतने साल हो गए बाजार में, छोड़ के भी नहीं जा सकते और दिन भर देख भी नहीं सकते.
Exactly.
तो क्या कीजिए? These are, you know, as the Chinese, as our, you know, northern friends, you know, as our friends on the northern side tell us, you know, let's live in exciting times, but you know, this too shall pass. चलिए और एक दो प्राइसेस पढ़ देता हूँ जहाँ पे कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा. मिड कैप 100. चलो जी, BSC 0.2% ऊपर है, 2600. कोचिन शिपयार्ड 0.2% ऊपर है. मैसगांव 0.1% ऊपर है. मतलब रुपए में भी नहीं बदल रहे ये. विशाल मेगामार्ट, Mayuresh, what is your view on here? 3-4 days ago there was a 12,000 crore rupee transaction on the promoter side. How are you analyzing Vishal Megamart?
Very positively, Shail sir. I think we are very, very optimistic on this one. We continue holding this in our global and local portfolios. Two things happening. One, I think from an annualized basis, the margin jump has been stellar. So consolidated margins for all their businesses put together, apparel is 45, FMCG is 20, other FMCG is 25, is around 9.4%, which was a good jump from FY24. Now, in a market where consumption is expected to go higher, and where a large part of their presence is in tier 2, tier 3 towns, where the selling price, even for apparels as an average selling price mechanism, is significantly lower, around at 500 or less than that mark itself, and where there is significant amount of accretion happening on a revenue per square foot and a profitability per square foot basis as well, tending us to believe that as volumes come back and as spending comes back significantly, there is a high possibility of volume growth, of SSCG growth being significantly better over the next couple of years because of the consumption boom. And because they are appropriately placed in tier 2, tier 3 towns, what we have seen historically over the last 20 years, as history beckons, as consumption comes back, tier 2, tier 3 shows the maximum propensity towards growth that happens. And if it's repeated in this cycle again, I think they can be big beneficiaries as far as volumes, prices, and return ratios.
Okay, so that's the view on Vishal Megamart, ladies and gentlemen. We are now 1 minute away as far as today's trades are concerned. Flat as flat can be. Nothing is moving, ladies and gentlemen. Risk off trade. More importantly, we are at the weekend on Friday, and in any case, volumes are likely to be very, very low. Everybody in the market is hoping for some kind of resolution between the ongoing war in Israel and Iran. Let's hope the weekend gives them the opportunity to think sensibly. Okay. Now the markets are open. Let's see what they are doing. Nifty 45 points higher. Nifty Bank 150 points higher. 180 points higher on the Nifty IT index. So it's a green start. Let's look at what the top 10 index heavyweights are doing. So on the face of it, all 10 are in the green except for Bajaj Finance. Let's not worry about that for the moment. Now Tata Motors 0.5% higher, 676. SBI 0.6% higher. Infosys 8 rupees 20 higher. TCS 9 rupees 90 higher. L&T 16 rupees 50 higher. This is looking good. HDFC in the green, Reliance in the green. So that is going to help the Nifty on its way up. Remember, we are in the last working week of the monthly F&O cycle. So that's important. Now coming back into focus is another trader favorite, Bombay Stock, my apologies, Suzlon Limited. This is the top traded counter, 1.3% higher, 63.30. Already 570 crores has been traded, so a small block deal has happened on this one. Ireda, Cochin Shipyard, Masgaon Dock in the green and in the top traded counters. Top graded on top gainers on NSE 500, HUDCO 1.5% higher, Premier Energies 2.7% higher. So there is a trend in the solar business. Vari Energies 2701, 1.1% higher. Smattering of public sector is what is there. People are actually buying value. So BHEL, SGVN, RVNL and Union Bank are amongst the top gainers, all up between 1 and 1.2%. Maharashtra Bank, now this is something that Mayuresh had suggested very early on, 1% higher, 54.2. Let's look at Karur Vyasa and see what that is doing. Karur 1.2% higher, 246. A view on advanced decline and then we'll get back to Mayuresh. In the green, 1600 shares in the green, 500 in the red. So it's an easy 3:1. This is good. Nifty PSU index was the top loser yesterday. It's now 1% higher. So bit of profit booking and short covering happening. Mayuresh, your view on the market open?
No, I think it opens up and then it just comes off and it stays where it is. So I hope it's not the trend like we've been seeing over the past few days. But again, as both of us were discussing, Shel sir, I think there is some element of resilience and the markets is hoping for some amount of resolution to happen over the next few days. If that happens, the market will head into quarter one results with solid positivity because liquidity is very, very strong in the system. RBI has already front-loaded a 50 bips rate cut. From a macro standpoint, if a resolution happens, crude receipts, which is also very, very positive from a current account and a trade deficit standpoint. The fiscal numbers are looking strong and corporate earnings are expected to make a comeback. So somewhere I think if there is some element of resolution happening over the next few days, in the next week or so, I think there might be a huge comeback that the markets might show. And Indian markets, in my opinion, might actually continue doing well. So even if it escalates as a worst case scenario and there is a sell-off in the market and a knee-jerk reaction at that, I think that will provide better entry points for certain stocks, certain sectors as I speak. So I think remain positive and optimistic on the markets in general.
Okay. Welcoming Kunal V. Parar, Vice President for Technical Research at Choice Equity Broking. Namaste Kunal ji, a very warm welcome to you. A nice thick green tick at the start of Friday. Bank Nifty bouncing from 221 EMA. Ditto for Nifty. Is this a day to have long trades after 5 days of rest? What is your view in the market?
Good morning, CLG. If we talk about market, no doubt market is up by 80%. But I'm not seeing any particular direction as of now because since last many days, Nifty has been trading between the range of 24,600 to 25,300. So this indicates muted sentiment amid global tension between Israel and Iran. So no clear direction until unless we get the breakout out of this trading range. Right now, Nifty is trading 24,870. We may see some upside momentum up to the level 24,970, but not suggesting to go for creating long position at present level. And if you talk about Bank Nifty side, right now Bank Nifty is trading 55,763. Even Bank Nifty has been trading between the range of 55,200 to 56,000. So no clear direction until unless we get the breakout of this trading range. So muted that we can expect sentiment, and next week will be the monthly expiry. So hope some volatility will be there.
Okay, 64 points higher on the Nifty. Let's look at the broader indices 100, 200. So the Nifty 100 index is in the green. 500 index is also in the green, but nothing much to talk about. How about small caps and mid caps? Okay, Nifty 100 mid cap index flat, small cap index is actually down. So let's wait for 15-20 minutes. But for the moment, ladies and gentlemen, it's looking very good for the auto counters. 1% higher on M&M. What's also looking good is Maruti. In fact, amongst the top gainers, it's auto that's taking it away. Tata Motors 0.3% higher, Eicher Motors 0.7% higher. Maruti in the green 12,871. Good volume, 65 rupees higher. Volume is 15,600 shares on Maruti in the first 4 or 5 minutes of trade. Mayuresh, I needed your view on Tata Motors. Is this a value pick at current levels?
I think there is a sufficient amount of proposition for Tata Motors. But I think after the statement that I probably put out, it seems that the next couple of quarters will be sluggish in terms of revenue reporting. Obviously, I think a lot needs to unfold in terms of tariff imposition for autos as far as North America is concerned. Europe is still going through a very, very sluggish phase as far as demand is concerned. And China, you've seen intense competition emerging from BYD. The kind of models, the content in their cars is mind-blowing as we see on a lot of videos. Having said that, I think the expectation in terms of the front-end capex that they've done on their electric mobility platform, specifically for JLR, I think the cash impairments might be intense as we speak, and therefore there is value as we speak. But how do they come out of that? Their aspiration obviously is that FY26 might be subdued, but their aspiration of a double-digit margin, a 10-11% margin on the EBITDA level, as we head into 27, assuming demand comes back and global scenario improves, remains a base case scenario. But till that point of time, my own sense is that even if there is sufficient value, I think this stock might just consolidate for lack of movements.
Okay. Kunal, would you have a view on Tata Motors at current prices?
Now stock is trading at 673 level. Since last 3 days, stock has been trading in a range bound momentum only, and it has also given it has already given a breakdown of its strong support. It was placed at 697. So further downside would be the up to the level of 640 to 636. Now I'm not suggesting to go for long at present level, but yes, if stock approaches this level 640, then it would become a good buying opportunity for creating a medium term position. So as of now, please avoid this counter. 640 would become a good buying opportunities.
Okay. The IT index, ladies and gentlemen, has slipped in the red. 27 down, 38,641, around 200-day DMA is where the IT index is. Now look at what's happening in the broader space. Power financiers are in top shape. Look at REC Limited and Power Finance Corporation. Both of them up to 2.5%. Okay. In slipping, Masgaon Dock 1% lower. Selling in Bajaj Finance about 0.5% lower. Bajaj Auto has also slipped 2.7%. So any informal rise in the market is getting sold into. What is rising is the auto space and to some extent auto ancillaries. I see endurance technologies here. Let's see what else is buzzing. Okay, Omax Auto, no, not much of gains, and that's how it is, ladies and gentlemen. Motherson Sumi is 0.6% higher, Bosch 0.2% higher, Talbros Auto 0.2% higher. Mayuresh, would you have a view on Sona Comstar, a tragic event in the company with the chairman losing his life while playing polo? A view on Comstar at current levels?
No, I think the incident was very, very unfortunate, Shel sir. But as far as Sona Comstar is concerned, I think we would like to wait and watch because as a global supplier as well, I think when the global auto industry is going through a very patchy period, I think it's very, very uncertain in terms of how numbers will stack up. Obviously, at some point, demand will come back. Now, it's very difficult to say whether it's Q3 of this year, Q4 of this calendar year, or whether it's going to get backloaded in the next year itself. And that uncertainty is something that we all know that the markets will not like. And therefore, I think my sense is it's better to wait and watch and look out how Q1 numbers come.
Okay. We'll also look at Sun TV, ladies and gentlemen, for a very different reason. The brothers are fighting. Dayanidhi Manan and Kalanidhi Maran are at loggerheads and have now their dispute has entered the legal courts. Stock at 588 is almost at a multi-week low, and in any case, media has been not the best of places for long-term capital appreciation. 918 was the all-time high for the stock somewhere in August 2024. Mayuresh, a view on this legal battle?
Again, I think if something like this comes up, if it does, I think there is huge uncertainty and the market will definitely not like it because it creates that uncertainty of what might or might not happen. So I think it's better to wait out and watch on what unfolds.
Okay. Kunal, what are the charts of Sun TV telling you?
Well, right now stock is trading at 588. It has already given a breakdown of its, averaging trend line. Not only this, it has also given a breakout of its, range bound momentum. So further downside would be there up to the level of 577, and if stock breaks this level, then further downside would be there up to the level of 550. So it clearly indicates a strong bearish momentum as of now. So we may see some downside up to the level of 550. So not suggesting to go for even for short because the news is there. So volatility will be there.
Okay. Kunal, anything that you are observing in the market now flat as flat can be? Nothing at all is moving.
One to two stocks are there which looks very attractive as of now. One is Ipca Labs, LG. No doubt stock is down by 1%, but it has a strong support at 1320. One can get into the stock because even stock took the support of the same and afterwards it went up to the level of 1510. So we can expect the same replicate momentum from the present level. Right now stock is trading at 1348. One can get into the stock with strict stop loss of 1320. If you talk about upper side target, and first target comes at 1380, and afterwards even it may march towards the level of 1430. Now not only this, I think one stock is one more stock is there. It's REC Limited. Stock is trading at 392. The same story is there in the REC as well. Stock has a strong support at 382. Even before stock took the support of the same and afterward it went up to the level of 414 to 425. So we can expect the same replicate momentum from the present level. One can get into the stock at present level with the strict stop loss of 380. If you talk about target size, then intermediate first target comes at 411 and afterwards even it may march towards the level of 430. So Ipca Lab and REC both looks very attractive on a daily chart.
Okay. I'll request the PCI to kindly fire the long-term chart of Aditya Birla Capital. Mayuresh, your attention on this stock. Again, a very big block deal that happened from the promoter side about within the last fortnight. Stock at a record high, and of course, the tailwinds of lower borrowing costs and possibly higher credit growth ahead. What is the assumption at William O'Neill and your research team for AB Capital?
No, so you're absolutely right, sir. I think those assumptions stay in place. But how consistently will those assumptions play out on the balance sheet is something that we would like to see ideally. And therefore, I think our take is that within the space itself, we focus largely on leadership stocks where there might be a lot of consistency in terms of earnings reporting
Yes.
that happen. And therefore, I think we're better off with the larger names within the space.
Okay, I'll request the PCI to fire the longer term chart of AB Capital. It was at 150 rupees in 3rd of March. So in a span of 2 months, the stock has moved from 150 to almost 250, actually 260. Kunal, how are you looking at the long term charts of Aditya Birla Capital? This is a high which was last seen in September 2017. So it's a 8-year breakout.
Yes, definitely, Selji. Means stock has been stock is trading, in an uncharted territory. Not only this, stock has also given a breakout of its previous top, which was placed at 243 on a weekly chart. So it clear cut indicates from the daily chart that a further upside would be there if we use Fibonacci extension. Then based on this extension, I think further upside would be there up to the level of 280, and if stock breaks this level, then further upside would be there up to the level of 320. So long term chart is in upside only, and it clearly indicates for some good upside momentum that we can see in the counter.
Okay. Anything that you've been observing, Kunal, in the defense space, all of them in top form? Are they overextended on daily charts? What looks good to you in the PSU defense space, and maybe one stock in the private defense space that you can highlight for our viewers?
Well, if we talk about defense counter right now, no doubt overall defense sector is trading in a red zone only. But yeah, one to two stocks are looks very attractive to me. And if we talk about overall defense view, then overall long term defense view is on a positive side only. Now. One stock is EML, which looks very attractive right now, trading at 4,302 level. If we talk about its daily chart, if we talk about its monthly chart, stock has already given a breakout and right now trading at a 4,300 level. Further upside would be there from the present level. One can get into the stock at present level with strict stop loss of 4,100. If we talk about target size, LG, then first target comes at 4,500, 670, and if stock breaks this level, then sky has no limit. Type of momentum would be there up to the level of 5,400. So one stock is BML, which looks very attractive, and yes, but obviously we do not forget this HL. The way stock has been trading on its daily chart, no doubt it has been trading in a range bound momentum only, but yeah, stock has a strong support at 4,750 level. One can get into the stock at present level with strict stop loss of 4,750. If we talk about target wise, the first target comes at 5,130, and afterwards even it may march toward the level of 5,430. So both stocks looks very attractive and aggressive as well on a daily chart, BEML and HAL.
Okay, fair point. So you're sticking to the large cap variety in defense counters. Mayuresh, we didn't talk on defense. The rally is phenomenal in the last 2 months or so. Anything where you find value in the long term?
I think everything's moved up, Shell sir, very earnestly. And therefore, I think from a value perspective, there are very few stocks. In fact, none of the stocks within the defense space are probably having justification for cheaper and better valuations. However, as a space, the tailwind continues. The expectations of more orders, better margin orders, execution with timelines, better cash flows is all a base case scenario that is now built in. Obviously, stocks like a VEL have moved up significantly, but anything that you probably talk about, solar industries as an example, which you continue holding from lower levels in a portfolio, Premier Explosives. Again, I think it's very, very interesting for Premier because, like solar, I think what they do is they do supply a large part to all the arsenal that we've got, including BrahMos, Akash as an example. And therefore, any accelerated spending that comes through, and if there is some element of correction happening on a stock like a Premier Explosives as an example, the numbers have been decent and the tailwinds are sufficient enough. So this is one stock that you can probably keep on your radar, but declines. Let it come.
Okay, 9:35. The first 20 minutes of trade have lapsed, ladies and gentlemen. As good a time as any to look at the market. Flat, 38 points higher on the Nifty. The 21-day EMA is holding for the moment. Amongst the most active counters, you have Power Finance Corporation. Now, this is an interesting chart. Value buying happening in Power Finance Corporation, 4% higher, and it has a decent turnover of about 338 crores. BSE profit booking here down 0.8%. That's because of low volumes and exchanges are the first to be impacted. A green tick on Cochin Shipyard, 0.4% higher. RECL rising in sympathy with PFC, and it's mainly dominated by either defense or PSU counter. So Garden Reach, BEL in the green. Now in the top traded list, is there any? Okay, Premier Energies is 5% higher. Worry Energies is 3% higher. Are there any all-time highs? Well, none at all. Volume buzzers, okay. You have Endurance Technologies, okay. This is an auto ancillary. Kunal, what are the charts of Endurance Technologies telling you? 25-28, almost now 5% up. Volume is almost 2.4 lakh shares.
Well, stock is trading at 2530 level and it has a strong resistance at 2580. If stock breaks this level, then further upside will be there up to the level of 2800 and more over it up to the level of 3100. So Saiji, as of now, one should wait and watch because if stock doesn't break this level, then it may retrace back towards the level of 2380. So one has to wait to break this level.
Okay. Now there is buying happening in select pharma counters. That's a pure defense play, but the overhang is the threat of tariffs in its main market, the US. So Aurobindo Pharma is 1% higher, Sun Pharma is 0.6% higher, Cipla 0.5% higher, Ajanta Pharma 0.4% higher. Deep value in these stocks. I think it's Power Finance. This is the stock to watch. Now gaining further ground, 407 for you. And as I have mentioned, it's the top traded counter on the BSE. Okay, below 21, EMA. Okay, this is Mayuresh. First, your view on PFC. Let's get a macro in.
No, so again, the tailwind continues. India's infrastructure boom, specifically when it comes to power, is going to increase exponentially. You are going to see 500 gigawatts of renewable target being set by the government by 2032. Even in terms of the transmission targets, we are expected to almost double our transmission capacity because that will be the if 500 gigawatts is going to come up in renewables and some element in terms of thermal addition as well. And therefore, there's going to be a tremendous amount of capex that is going to happen from power grid itself in terms of the core heavy lifting that they will do. So from FY25 numbers of almost 112 billion odd, they'll be doing a capex of $250 billion, which means you need financing and exponential financing for all these elements put together. And therefore, stocks like PFC, REC will come back in focus quite significantly. A large part of their project financing will be government-based, where defaults, the risk of default is minimal. The spread should be decent because interest rates are expected to remain lower. Their cost of borrowing is well spread out. And therefore, the improvement in cash flows might continue. The dividend yield is stupendous as we speak. And therefore, there are multiple tailwinds for both these stocks as we head into the next 4-5 years. So anybody holding these stocks should continue.
The PCR will fire a long-term chart of Power Finance Corporation (PFC). Kunalji, in a sideways band, the stock doing actually nothing from 7th of January. So this year has been a washout. A low of 361, a high of 442. This is where the stock is moving in. What do you suggest?
Well, at present level, I think one should get into the stock. Right now, stock is trading at 407 level. We will keep SL at 397, and if you talk about target wise, the first target comes at 419, and afterwards, even it may march towards the level of 432. So, for trading perspective, it looks very attractive. But for medium term to long term, I think stock has already taken the support on a weekly chart at 365, and further upside would be there. And if stock breaks this 435, then one way rally would be there up to the level of 523. Now, not only this, even this is a good dividend paying company as well. So, double bonanza impact benefit would be there. So, this is a perfect time to get into the stock for trading perspective and medium to long term perspective as well.
Okay, 9:40. So the first half an hour is just about to end. Nifty again sideways. 24,800 thankfully is with the bulls. Let's hope today's close on a weekend basis is above 24,800. That is something that should be giving comfort to bulls over Monday, and let's hope that the market is looking for some sense and sensibility to come into political leaders in the Middle East. Whether that will happen or not, only time will tell. But that's how it is. Mayuresh, Varun Beverages Limited. This has been a long-term wealth creator, but post its stock split, the stock has stumbled a lot. Of course, summer isn't as good as it was, so there is an issue, and there is a competition coming in from Reliance's Campa. What is your view on Varun Beverages? Where is a sensible price point to maybe do a sip?
Maybe if it corrects another 7, 8, 10%, I think if that does become an opportunity, it does. The story has been phenomenal. You're right, Shel sir. I think over the last few years, it has been a massive outperformer as far as the broader markets are concerned. Volumes have held up. The expectation in terms of a large part of their franchisees, they've almost got, except one state in India, I think they've almost got the entire franchisee as far as Pepsi operations are concerned. And even abroad, when you're talking about their African operations. And the kind of volumes that they're doing there as well are phenomenal. Having said that, I think the expectations in terms of the product mix, in terms of the drinks that they're doing, the carbonated ones, the decarbonated part, even within that part element, has started inching higher. Water as a component in terms of the overall product mix has started inching higher. The component of juices has remained stable as far as Tropicana is concerned. But generally, I think water and expectations in terms of their energy drinks expected to be decent going forward, which is reflected in better operating efficiencies. Gross margins actually have shown resilience, and EBITDA margins above that 20-21% mark. With logistics, which are largely in-house to a certain and a large extent, I think the cost of running operations become well managed and well defined from a strategic viewpoint. And therefore, even from an ESG component, I think the pet waste that they're probably doing and reusing is also a significant component in terms of reducing costs and ensuring that margins have that added benefit as we speak. Having said that, I think the kind of sell-off that has happened is primarily based in terms of the run-up that the stock has shown. But there are sufficient tailwinds for the stock showing resilience. So I think if the stock does correct, as I said, 8-10%, and it makes a base at the lower levels, that can be a good entry point for long-term investors.
Kunal, how are you viewing Varun Beverages on the medium-term charts?
Well, if you talk about VBL, right now stock is trading at 461 level, and I'm seeing a very good upside momentum in the counter, because stock is forming some kind of tweezer bottom formation. Not only this, stock has a strong support at 440 level as well. So yes, this is the perfect time to get into the stock for medium term. If you talk about bounce back wise, and bounce back would be first target would be at 493 level, and if stock breaks this level, then further upside would be there up to the level 535. So stock looks very attractive in terms of medium term. Downside, we will keep SL at 445. So risk reward is in favor of creating long position only.
Okay. Again, let me highlight what is moving, and this is again in the financing space. Uh, well, not exactly financing. I don't know how to put in JM Financial where, but let's just take it as an NBFC. JM Financial is on the move. L&T Finance is on the move. These are low ticket, high beta stocks which really haven't done anything in the last 5 years, nothing at all. So a rate cut which is front loaded, 50 basis points by the RBI a fortnight ago, plus the fact that there is a cut in the CRR, opens the potential for higher credit growth. Mayuresh, you've mentioned your preference for AB Capital as a leadership stock in this space. Any view that you would have on L&T Finance, maybe JM Financial, long-term disappointments?
There have been, and therefore I think our take is that within the NBFC universe and the tailwinds that you just mentioned, Shelser, Shriram Finance seems to be a more probable bet. Yeah, numbers were a little soft in Q4, but our expectation is that with the kind of diversified borrowing mix that it has got, the front-loaded rate cut obviously abets and helps them in terms of improving their cost of borrowing to a large extent. And therefore, I think the mix between the borrowing part of the balance sheet, the advances part of the balance sheet, the risk-weighted assets that they carry on the balance sheet as well, specifically when you talk about personal loan, unsecured loans, which is hardly a minuscule 3.5, 4% including gold loans, as for information, is a significant attribute in terms of the leadership that it has. And as funding comes back, MSME, SME, a large part of vehicle financing, rural coming back, which probably remains our thesis as we head into the next few quarters. I think leadership stocks like Shriram, which have pockets of growth in all these aspects put together, might actually be able to improve its balance sheet quite significantly over the next couple of years. So I think if I have to bet on an NBFC, I think Shriram Finance would be.
Okay. With that, 9:47, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the market is at this point of time. The Nifty now moving towards 24,900. Let's hope this is a nice short covering that takes us higher and higher. 200 points higher on the bank Nifty. So 21 EMA is a bouncing area where both indices are moving up. What are the stocks contributing to Nifty's uptick? Bharti Airtel, 1% higher, has added 12 points to Nifty. HDFC Bank, 0.5% higher, has added another 12. M&M has added another 12. ICICI Bank and Reliance adding 9 each. That's the status as far as markets are concerned. A bit of momentum coming back into market favorites. BEL now consolidating above 400. CDSL and CAMS and large parts of the wealth management space are also doing well. We already had a move on REC and PFC, and hydropower producers, Satluj Jal Vikas Nigam Limited, NHPC, all of these are very, very high dividend paying companies which are now coming back in focus. Remember, people are buying value at a time when value has also fallen because of this sideways to weak move in the broader market. Kunal, a very quick view on maybe BEL and CDSL.
Well, BEL trading at 402 level. I think one should get into the stock at present level because long-term trend is very much positive. And on a smaller time frame, stock has been trading in an upward edging channel formation only. So further upside would be there in the counter from the present level. We will keep SL at 393, and if you talk about target wise, the first target comes at 408, which is its previous top as well. And if stock breaks this 408, then one way down, one way upside would be there up to the level of 430. So the risk reward is in favor of creating long position only in BEL. And if you talk about CDSL, then right now this stock is trading at 1659, and Shailesh, I think I would recommend to avoid this stock as of now, because no clear direction is there for trading perspective as well as for position perspective as well.
Okay. Mayuresh, we haven't talked much about our erstwhile favorite chemical space. Record highs on SRF, a sharp move coming into Naveen Fluorine, and some beaten down stocks also doing pretty well. What is the house view on chemical sector in particular, and any stock that you would want to highlight?
No, so as a space, I think agrochemicals is where our research says that ratings, rankings look phenomenal. And therefore, a lot of the agrochemical companies have done really, really well. Having said that, I think if you probably look at the construct for stocks like a Naveen or even a PI Industries as an example, I think the expectations in terms of their business outlook over the next few quarters is expected to show significant signs of improvement, which tend us to believe that earnings, margin improvement and return ratios, ROEs, which we specifically peg as a benchmark at markets with India at 17.5%, might actually be faring better and exceeding that mark as we head into the next couple of years, based both in terms of the macro tailwinds that they're doing and the individual tailwinds that each company probably has from a balance sheet construct. So agrochemicals as a space, extremely, extremely bullish and optimistic. But even stocks outside that, stocks like a PI, stocks like, as I said, Naveen, NFL, might actually do well because of both macro and micro tailwinds.
Okay. Kunal, as choice broking, would you have a view in the chemical space? What are the few chemical stocks that the brokerage has recommended to its ultra HNIs or retail investors?
Well, Sanjeev, but obviously, monsoon has started, and as per the IMD, I think forecast is on above average. So, but obviously, one should focus on chemical sector, that particularly from the agricultural side, and one to two stocks are there which looks very attractive. So, we are focusing on the fact FACT right now trading at 1000 to 1002 level. Stock has a strong support of 977, and even if you talk about even stock took the support of the same before, and afterwards went up to the level of 1156. So same replicate momentum we can expect from this counter. One can get into the stock at present level with strict stop loss of 970. And if you talk about upper side target, and first target comes at 1016, afterwards even it may march toward the level of 1112. So fact looks very attractive. Not only this, even RCF looks very attractive at present level. Right now stock is trading at 152, and stock has a strong support at 148 level. Even before stock took the support of the same, and afterwards it went up to the level of 168. So same replicate momentum we can expect from this counter. One can get into the stock at present level with strict stop loss of 145. Target wise, first target comes at 162, and afterwards 168 would be our ultimate target. So for trading perspective, positional perspective, we are recommending this fact and RCF.
Okay. Mayuresh, two stocks we failed to discuss again, NBFC space, something that you've been projecting as a sectoral long bet. Gold financing companies, both Muthoot and both Manappuram are at record highs, blistering pace of gains, mainly on inventory valuation. Jewelers are empty, but people taking loan against gold and silver are making a line out of these two companies, as also are investors. Maybe a valuation view on Muthoot and then Manappuram?
So a large part of them are dominated in terms of gold financing. Muthoot more than 95, Manappuram is almost 65, 70 odd percent. And therefore, I think with the respite that has come through in terms of the consultation white paper that RBI has floated in terms of loan to value, obviously there is expectation that because of elevated gold prices, you're absolutely right, jewelry stores are probably looking vacant as vacant might be. And therefore, I think the obvious choice becomes A, for consumers who are probably having some element of requirement to probably go in for gold financiers with better LTVs, now that the RBI has probably given them that leeway. And at the same time, I think when you're probably talking about the expectations of existing customers as well, the expectation is that if they are repaying on time, as the guidelines and regulations suggest, there might be some further additions happening in terms of top-up loans that happen for good servicing customers, which probably means that volumes increase where the industry is probably starving as we speak, and then therefore I think from a construct of numbers, it might actually be resilient going forward. So will the momentum probably stay? It actually might. Valuations fair. I mean, I would not say cheap. I wouldn't say expensive. But I think if this trend continues and the expectation getting reflected on numbers, there's a high potential from a risk reward perspective that the momentum might stay with these stocks.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Mayuresh, with that thought, thank you so much for your time. And
Sure.
like always, it's such a pleasure to speak to you. I'm hoping we see you in Delhi soon, and we'll do something about the products that Radico Khaitan makes and pass a lovely evening discussing stocks. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thanks for the invite. And when you're in Bombay, please tell me. We'll definitely come check.
Okay. Kunal, before we let you go, a view on Muthoot Finance and Manappuram.
Well, if you talk about Muthoot Finance, right now trading at 2615 level, and I'm seeing some kind of correction up to the level of 2550 to 2500 level, and one can get into the stock for shorting with strict stop loss of 2670. We may see some downside target up to the level of 2500 level as well. And if you talk about Manappuram Finance, the way right now stock is trading on its daily chart, I think one should avoid, because since last 3 days stock has been trading in a range bound momentum only, so I'm not seeing any particular direction in the counter. While for Muthoot Finance, one can go for sorting at present level.
Okay. With that, Kunal, thank you to you. As always, a wonderful advice, and we look forward to you joining us again. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's now wrap up the markets. It's Friday, and there is a bit of short covering in the market ahead of the weekend. A week that was dominated by risk of trade because of the crisis that we have in West Asia, the ongoing battle between Iran and Israel. It's perked up crude oil prices, which have acted as a dampener across the board from Wall Street to Tokyo to Europe and India in the middle. There is a lack of volume, lack of participation as traders, investors sit on the sidelines waiting for this crisis to blow over. Let's hope over Monday and in the weekend, sensible common sense prevails, and there is a ceasefire in the Middle East that was put us back on work from Monday. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back at 11 with a special on crude oil. Do join us. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.